All right, we're here. Thank you for joining. This is Campfire number 79, which is incredible. I feel lucky and blessed to have the chance to talk to wonderful people. And with me today, we have Victor Swanberg, uh, with whom we've tried to actually schedule that conversation. I think it was 1 month ago. It was a few days after Restream that we're using changed their UI completely and made a mess of our stream. And we got started and then it ended 2 minutes later. And so, yeah, we're going to have that conversation now. Victor, thank you for joining. We're going to talk about job hunting, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in 1 minute. But before, I just want to say hi to the folks that are joining here already. Summersum, let's go. We're ready to go. Barry, great to see you here. Thanks for joining. An alum, brilliant. And so this is how those campfires work. If you've joined one, you're probably familiar with that. But it is your time. You can ask Vitor and I any question. If you're listening to us, that means you're probably joining from YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. On any of those platforms, type in your chat, type in your question in the chat, and we'll see it right here, and we'll be able to answer you. You can also do something else, and I'm going to see if it's available again. Captions, no. I'll see. We've lost a few things here. Anyways, that's okay. You can also join us live. You can actually, if you have your camera and your mic on, you can join us on the stream and ask your questions live. Feel free to do that if you want to. I don't know how to. Oh, I think you do. Yeah, I think let me type it in. You will do http url.nucamp.co/dial in, and if you follow that link, you'll be invited to switch on your camera and your microphone and have a conversation with us live. All right, and hello, Annie. Thanks for being here. And yes, Summer Sam was really looking forward to our conversation, Victor. And it's really happening. All right, Victor. So again, we're going to talk about.
Your audio just went out.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now? Jesus.
Yeah, we're good.
Restream still has some issues, I guess. All right.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. I think it's because I kind of shouted instead of speaking. All right. So, Victor, thank you for being here. Would you mind introducing yourself, where you live, what you're doing right now? And we're actually going to go back to your roots, I would say, your beginnings, and go from here to the advice that you're giving others on how to find a job in tech.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everybody. I'm Vic. I am a senior engineer at a e-learning company called Sublime Media, based out of Seattle, Washington. I reside over in Everett, Washington. I am a remote worker. We are enjoying the lovely gray, rainy weather today. But I have been teaching at Nucamp for, gosh, I don't know, about 4.5, 5 years now. So it's been some time. I've taught all types of classes that involve front-end web dev, all the way to this new kind of job hunting at hacks class. I've got a lot of good insight being in the market. And I think aside from just doing web dev, my biggest passion is to empower other people to see how much that they can achieve. And so I really, really enjoy kind of the independent development growth and seeing the results of other people achieving their dreams. So a little bit of history about myself. I went to college for computer forensics, so not your traditional web development. And I ended up changing gears because I'm a more creative individual. I really enjoy building and tinkering and trying to figure out how things work. And those kind of skills I identified, just as a child, cars, mechanics, any kind of technology. So putting PCs together, things like that. And that really just kind of aligned with being a web dev. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. And as you mentioned Everett, Washington, and the weather that we have here, it is horrendous outside. It feels like we're in October. My wife just asked that we switch on the heat again. Can you believe that? It's middle of August and we have to switch on the heat. That's just pathetic. Annie, you just joined the link. If you want us to bring you over, we have to see your camera, so you have to have your camera on. Otherwise, we won't be able to do that. But thanks for trying to join. So speaking of beginnings and doing college and doing computer forensics, you also then you decided to join Nucamp, right? When was that?
So I got hired at Sublime Media, and I joined Nucamp about a month and a half to 2 months into my career. During the time that I got hired, the marketplace was completely different. It was like you dress up in a nice suit and tie, you show up, you're accountable, and you've got good communication skills. And what I quickly realized was that I didn't have the technical skills that I needed, or at least that I wasn't performing at a level of maybe some of the other engineers. And so I started doing some self-taught coding, spending late nights, 12 o'clock at night, ripping my hair out, trying to figure out why this function's not firing or whatever. And I quickly realized that I needed some support, maybe a structure, right? And so I think in order to fast pace my development, I found Nucamp, and I actually heard about it from a friend that I went to college with, who decided to take the React JS course. And so he had really good feedback. The cost was really effective, and I went in there and I loved it. I enjoy being the self-motivated self-starter, and so because of the structure of Nucamp and the cost, it just really worked for me. I like the idea of being able to work full time and do boot camp at the same time, taking the boot camp skills and applying to the work skills every day. And so I think that was what really was beneficial about Nucamp for me.
And so that was in 2021. Did you then attend the workshops in person in Everett or in Marysville? Was
No,
it
I did not.
Marysville?
No, it was just barely getting remote. Yeah,
Oh, really?
I
Oh,
didn't. I'd never got an opportunity. However, I did see the Seattle office
oh,
because
you
when
went to the co-working space over there. We had an open
correct,
house, I
yeah,
guess. Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Because I think it was someone, a representative from New Camp, had reached out to Sublime Media. I'm not sure, but
Ah,
took a team of developers over there and we toured a building.
oh, that was pretty cool. All right. And Krista is here. Hey, Krista, great to see you. All right, we're going to take the questions. Amy, yeah, happy to have you join even without the camera. We'll try that on. And then I see that Barry has joined as well. So we'll bring you both at some point in the conversation. So I just want to set the stage for everyone who's listening to this. So Victor, you joined Nucamp as a graduate or student and then graduated. And then we brought you over as an instructor. And I want to just share a few tidbits about where you are right now as an instructor. And so let me share my screen. Let me share. That's going to be this one. Yes. Okay. Can you see it? Yeah, pretty cool. Look at that. Okay. How about, what if we do that? There we go. So this is your profile on our platform. You've taught 5 web development fundamentals, 10 bootstrap courses. So at the beginning, really, you focused on teaching the dev skills. And then very recently, for the past 6 months or so, I would say, or maybe 9 months, you've really focused on helping folks finding a job through the job hunting bootcamp. And you've had tremendous feedback from your students. And so I wanted to share that. Well, first, folks should realize that getting an average rating of 4.88 out of 5 is kind of miraculous. It doesn't happen very often. It's pretty hard to get, and you've done it. And it's across 939 ratings. So 494.88 is just amazing. And then it's not just the rating. This is the thing that I wanted to share with everyone. Students love you, right? They say you're an amazing instructor. You're helping them with the elevator pitch. You're a gentleman. Lots of empathy, lots of great feedback. Uh, so that's why we wanted to have you on. Really, you're really helping a lot of people doing what they need to do to get a job in tech, despite the current climate.
Hmm.
And Christa is highlighting that best job hunting teacher. Absolutely. Um, so that's a little bit of background that I wanted to share with folks. Um, do you mind sharing with us a little bit of your experience as an instructor, um, not necessarily with Nucamp, but with the students? Like, can you tell us a little bit or share with us some insights into the students that you see joining the job hunting class? Where are they at? What are they trying to accomplish? What are the main challenges that you see them facing? And maybe how those challenges have evolved, from the moment you started with us, 2 years ago or 4 years ago, actually, to now. Would you mind kind of saying a few things along those lines?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the level of knowledge that the students attend, it ranges. It can be anywhere from people that have never had a tech job, they're just getting a feel for the market, they're super excited and passionate, they just want to get in there, to career changers or career shifters. Those are the folks that maybe they, worked a job and that was just their job, but they're ready to jump to a career. Maybe they want more time with the family, they want to feel more empowered with the time. So, I emphasize a lot about multiple levels of or multiple income streams in addition to the
Yeah.
job hunting. Um, One of the things that I see in today's modern job marketing versus even just pre-COVID, we'll talk about, is that the interpersonal communication skills gap. And that's going to be the validation, we have the technical skills, but there's also other skills in a business that you need to apply. And so I
Yeah.
think that there's a gap there. And that is what I'm here for. That's what I really, really emphasize with students. I've taught the web dev fundamentals classes, and those are very technical, hands-on, and it's good stuff. But when I switched to the job hunting class, it was more about empathy. It was more about providing an inclusive environment for people to be real and
Yeah.
genuine. And I think those transfer into these interpersonal communication skills that are super important to the job hunting process. So I really emphasize power skills. They call them power skills now. And you see the trend in the market right now with HR hiring managers. What they are is soft skills. And so
Mhm.
with the evolution of remote workforce and the evolution of kind of people working not within a county or a community, but worldwide. I could be over in Everett and working for a company in Africa at this point. We need to really focus on those interpersonal communication skills, because being a dev is collaborating. Being a
Yeah.
developer is providing solutions, is consulting with customers, is providing an experience, just like retail, right? And so you see all these people that are coming in that really want to dip their toes in, but they don't know how. They don't know how to jump into this. Hey, I've worked a sales job and I don't know what kind of skills I have or what I don't have, and I just don't know the code stuff. But in all reality, there's a lot of skills that you already have. And so what we do in job hunting is we kind of dig through all that noise and define and prioritize those skills, right? Customer service is consulting.
Yeah.
Interacting with a customer and dealing with a problem is developing, right? Collaborating with a team of customers or a team of associates to get more sales is collaborating on GitHub. I mean, they all kind of really align with each other. And so, one, we have to acknowledge that we have these skills already. Two, there's a little bit of validation in there, right? And so it's like that's the whole reason why we're in this class, right? Is that we need to have that confidence. And then three is, is our energy going? Are we putting our energy into something that is going to be beneficial for us? And so I really talk about leveraging yourself as a personal brand, because
Mhm.
as a salesman, you have to sell a product. As a developer, you are the product, right? People come to you for that stuff. So,
Yeah. I mean, having the technical knowledge is baseline, right? And you can develop it and spend hours and days and weeks and years on lead code, for example. But at the end of the day, given two individuals, the person that has the best ability to communicate, get along with the team, may actually win over the person that has the best lead code score. Uh, Hiring managers will often privilege, uh, long-term engagement, long-term prospect of a person in how they communicate and how they get along with the rest of the team versus someone who's just, really great at technology, but could be challenging to collaborate with. Annie, we're going to bring you on over. Let's actually try this. Let's start with the questions.
Love
So we're going to
questions.
be ready now. So let me do that. Have your mic ready. And I understand you don't have the camera, but let's do that. All right. There we
All right.
go.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. All right. Yeah. Like I said, I don't want to take up a huge amount of time. I know time is limited. Um,
Go for it.
and and so the first off, thank you, Victor. I really appreciate you coming and doing this for us. This was one of the big things for me. Because I've never had a development job before.
Hmm.
And so I'm trying to, get my foot in the door. I've been around technology for, gosh, 25 years or so, something like that. So I've done tech support, I've done customer service, I've done all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate you mentioning the soft skills because that really is important. Technical skills you can learn, but soft skills are
Hmm.
something you have to develop over the course of your life. It's something you have to be good at. So I guess my first question is, with the market the way it is, what have you seen? I- How how is the job market for development? Like, how easy is it to, I guess, get your foot in the door if you've never been there before? I always hear the horror stories about the first job being the most difficult. So what do you feel about that? What have you seen?
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, unemployment rate is low, right? I mean, it's like 4%. I think that's the lowest it's been in 40 years. So it's highly competitive. You've got applicants that are applying to jobs, hundreds of jobs a week, and, you're not getting as much feedback. One of the things that I emphasize with people, and this is just with all web dev and being a developer in general, is that it's a journey, right? And so you have to stay motivated and you have to stay driven. Rely on your community, rely on your peers, rely on those people to give you that positive feedback and that because every day you have to continue to push. That drive is going to what sets you apart from any other individual.
Hmm.
I've had people in job hunting classes and they've gotten jobs, and I've had them tell me stories about what their journey was like. And a lot of their stories are that we have kept applying and applying and applying, but we needed that one individual to reach out. And so there was some success there. There is some success there. I can tell you a little bit about my first time that I was applying at Sublime Media.
Yeah.
And this is where I talk about leveraging myself as a personal brand. I went into the interview, I had no knowledge of code, right? But I went into the interview and I actually told the interviewer, I said, I have a presentation for you guys about how I'm going to elevate the development team's skills. Because in that aspect, as a business perspective, not only do you have the technical knowledge, but you're also teaching that stuff, right? And so in order for them to see the value in you, you're like, not only am I going to come in here and change it a little bit, but I'm going to bring and elevate everybody else up with me. So leveraging yourself or finding unique ways to use yourself as a personal brand is going to be really, really, really unique for you. In terms of, interacting with like LinkedIn and getting into logistics, I really try to tell people to shy away from the quick apply button.
Yeah.
I do not think the quick apply button is a good idea. Yeah, it's convenient. And yeah, you got to apply to a lot of jobs, but it's not personable. And what did I just talk? I talked about interpersonal communication today and about, selling yourself as a brand. And you gotta put that memory in that hiring manager's brain, right? You were the last person. And so if it's more personal, like you reach out in a message instead, right? Say you're applying to Microsoft. You go on to the LinkedIn and you find 5 associates that work for Microsoft. Reach out to them. Ask them about the culture. Say, hey, I'm looking to apply to this job. do you got any feedback, right? Those people, that kind of interaction is going to not only kind of put that memory in their brain, but it's going to create a rapport. And that rapport may or may not break that job, right? Because in dev, networking is so key to remote work. And in order to build networks, you have to create the rapport. So leaning on the community and really trying to leverage yourself, thinking about it in a salesman hat, and making those connections are super, super important. I'll tell you, the last couple of jobs that I've had is all word of mouth.
Hmm. Okay, okay, I see. That's interesting. So just communicating with the people, even for like smaller jobs. Like let's say, you I find something interesting and it's front end, but it's a smaller company, not like a Microsoft or a Google, but
Mm-hmm.
a hospital or, some kind of store or something. Well, they want a website built. And so I just reach out and I say, "Hey, look, do you guys are if you have somebody already, I would love to become part of the team and here's why." Something like that.
Yeah, or what was your journey, right? I think just reaching out and asking them about their journey is going to help give you those skills too, because it's experience and kind of what they had to go through as well.
Okay, very, very cool. All right. And then I just wanted to I've done two things. I actually got this information from the last campfire with the two not advocates. I forgot what you call them.
Advisors.
Yes,
Advisors,
there
yeah.
we go.
We have Dean
There
in
we go.
here, Dean and Zendra.
Yes, yes. They are two great advisors and they
Dean is
um
here.
oh, cool. Okay, yeah. um, so they had told me I was asking about resumes, and I was like, "Well, hey, look,
Hmm.
I've got a like full uh, uh website that I've built in React. That's a resume website, and
Hmm.
I've got my other projects inside of that resume. So I've got like four or five separate projects inside of my React resume project." And they said, "Okay, well, that's cool, but what you want to do is you want to have." 'Cause I was trying to make the differentiation between having that and having just like a regular PDF resume, just the basic.
Hmm.
And um, uh, they told me, they said, it's easiest to uh, just have the regular PDF resume at first for for the less technical side of it, and then once you get into the first, second, third, whatever interview, have the big thing, the big resume. So I was wondering, is that's a good thing, right? Just like to have the regular PDF at first, sort of send that out, and then once I hook the person or whatever, okay, now I can really show them this is my coding.
Yeah, yeah. I think less is more, right? Like you don't want to create too much noise. You want to stay focused and concise. So I think having the resume is a totally fine approach. Having your profile site on the resume, like a link or something, that's totally okay too. Or referring it to somewhere. I'm not sure. Like there's input boxes and application systems where you can like provide additional information. You can certainly put that in there as well. But the resumes are for the HR folks. They're not for us engineers. We're not looking at the resumes as much as the HR guys. What I want to know is what your people skills are and what your technical skills are and how you're going to approach the problem solving. So I think the PDF is totally a great approach.
Okay, very cool. And then just one more thing, and I'll let you guys go. I'm sorry. I
You're
know I'm
good,
taking
Andy.
up a lot of
Go for it.
time. I'm trying to speed here. I just want to share my screen real quickly.
Hmm.
I want to show you guys what I've got. So, are you looking at my screen?
I'm putting it. Yeah, there you go. We
Okay,
can see it now.
perfect. So this is just kind of what I came up with
Super small
for.
though. I don't know how much we're going to be
Oh,
able to see
here,
it. If you can maybe maximize it
yeah,
even bigger,
uh,
bigger, bigger, bigger. There we go.
bigger.
Yeah.
There. Okay. So this is just kind of what I came up with. This is just a basic. I got my personal information up here. I kind of cut it off, but
Hmm.
this is just what I came up with. Sorry, just with like a basic resume. It's just work history, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
I'm just doing the bullet points, all that, and then on my second page, so it's the same deal, same kind of format. I kind of did this. So again, work history, and then I've got all my technical and soft skills. And like I said, I love that you mentioned that. So I just kind of put all those up there. And then I got my links to my code pen. So I wrote these few, I got them written in vanilla JavaScript, and then I have them written in React. And then same deal. So what I figure is, and then of course a link to my GitHub. So what I
Mhm.
figure is I'll just do 3 for vanilla JavaScript, 3 for React, the same um, applications. Just like you said, something simple. And then of course the courses, I'm doing the Nucamp now, and then my education. So I mean, is that, good for like a baseline? I mean, is that okay? Do I need any more?
Um,
Should I get less?
I think for a baseline, you're at a good start. I would encourage you to use tangible metrics
Okay.
for your little graph there with your bullet points, your technical and soft skills. So,
Okay.
is there a way that you can talk a little bit about the experience that you had with your previous organizations, and what was the impact? And I want numbers. I want data. Engineers, back end, like we're about data. So instead of maybe the bullet points, which they're nice, they're visual, right? The little circles, they're nice and visual. Let's talk a little bit more about those metrics. Those are super, super important.
Okay.
And I
I
think, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ludo.
no, I was gonna say I just had that same conversation with a good friend of mine who's also building his resume, and there's actually a technique to write those bullet points. And I actually asked ChatGPT for that exact technique, and I shared that with him. So I'm actually looking for that, and I'll paste it in the chat as well. Go
Okay.
for it.
Yeah, definitely look up keywords, right? I didn't really talk a little bit about ATS tracking systems, but ATS
Mhm.
tracking systems are systems or programs or algorithms that are used to weave out all the resumes and really focus on what that criteria is. So when you're looking, we'll just use LinkedIn. You're looking at a job posting, and the job posting, it's going to have those keywords in there. You need to do that one-to-one look and look at that resume to make sure that those terms are inside that resume. And the reason why I say that is because that'll give you that chance to not get weaved out of the ATS system. Um,
Exactly. Let me actually share now.
Okay.
I'm gonna take over your share.
Yeah.
What's your name, if you don't mind me asking, by the way?
Oh, yeah. No, no worries. It's Luther.
Luther.
oh,
So
nice to meet you, Luther.
Nice to
so
meet
you
you too.
can
You want me to?
so this is it.
Okay.
Action,
Mm,
method, result.
Interesting.
So, and I just pasted the link if in the chat if you want to look at it.
Yeah. Very good. Interesting.
yeah, I love that. I love that because businesses, I mean, they're about metrics, right? We need to measure our evolution as a business or a profit margin as a business. So it really kind of helps provide those non-technical people the results that they desire. Because when you
That's
go
right.
and you say, I got React JS experience, they're like, the HR person's like, what's React? Is that a JavaScript framework?
Right.
And it's not to knock them, right? But I
Right.
mean, everybody's skilled in their own area, right?
I
All
see.
right,
But
hey,
yeah. Oh,
Luther,
sorry.
thank you for joining. Thanks for attending the Full Stack Bootcamp. Hopefully, you'll continue on with job hunting and have Victor to help you out over 4 weeks long.
Yep.
Um, I'll let you go. I'll also add that uh, the advice that you gave to really try to limit yourself or limit the amount of time you're spending on just clicking apply, right? That's super important. I feel there's a lot of people in the industry that are saying, don't even bother with applying online. Place your energy to reaching out to having those conversations, in big or small companies. And you talked about, reaching out to the engineer at Microsoft. You could think that they're busy, that everybody does it, that they all get, 100 requests a day to get their help. But it's not true. There's like 30,000 Microsoft employee in the Seattle region right now. And I guarantee you, most of them are not being pinged daily for help by strangers. Most of them actually will take the time if you are approaching it, with humility. And I like what you said. Don't ask for a service just yet, and show that you're interested in their journey.
Mm-hmm.
And they are much more likely to actually um, be helpful to you and have that foot in the door. I mentioned also earlier that we have Dean here. Uh, Dean is in our team, And guess what he did on Tuesday, last Tuesday in Birmingham? He attended a tech meetup. 97 people were registered. I don't know how many showed up, maybe 50. But that's 50 handshakes you can make in person and have a conversation that can actually lead ultimately to a job, right? And these are, to your point, these are the interpersonal relationships that go way beyond, how what's my score on lead code. That's really is about differentiating yourselves from the next guy or gal. All right, we have a bunch of people. We have Bill who's here as well. We have um, and I think Brian just left. Bill, we'll get you on in a few minutes. We're gonna continue on with Victor. Christa reminds us that a recruiter only spends 6 seconds to read a resume. When it's an actual person, it can just be half a second by an AI as well. And we have here also a point from Summersum. Trying to find a local meetup. Can't seem to find anything in Oregon. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Victor, how do you have experience with locating those meetups? Like, is the answer to that just going to meetup.com or Eventbrite, or do you have other tricks to find those communities?
Well, I empower you to create your own meetups as well, right? So with LinkedIn, I mean, obviously, if you're, in the tech industry, you're going to have friends that are in the tech industry, and you can certainly, communicate with those folks. A couple weeks ago, I had a young girl recently reach out to me, and we just had a little kind of video chat, and she was just talking a little bit about her journey, but she's over in Shoreline. And so I made the offer, hey, if you ever want to work on something, if you ever want to, try to build a new application. She was very interested in React. And so it's a passion of mine, of course. And so I was like, hey, we can always meet up too. So a coffee shop or a coffee chat is what I would like to call them. It's where you just kind of go to a little coffee shop, and you have a laptop and you try to sift through some GitHub and see cool little applications, but it gives you an opportunity to really talk about stuff with that individual and kind of gauge what they're looking for, gauge what their goals are, and you can align yourself that way. So I think it's just, being empowered to reach out, right? Taking that initial step. I know it's scary sometimes, but as I always say, to gain more, you got to risk a little bit, And again, it's always about, if you do take the initial step, think about all the people that are scared. Think about all the people that don't, right? And leveraging yourself. What are you going to do differently, or how are you going to be more valuable than all those other people, right?
Great point. All right, let's actually bring Teddy's question here. Teddy, I recently completed my associate's degree in computer science at college, and I am interested in joining a bootcamp to further my learning. Can you suggest any options for me? You are very actually similar to what you went through, except you did computer forensics. But what would you tell Teddy?
I would tell him to join Nucamp boot camp.
There you go.
I don't get paid commission. No, I'm kidding. I think that, college is great. Like, it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you to show up and to stay driven and all that other jazz, right? And you got to get through that kind of stuff. But I think boot camps are really important because it does teach you the technical skills. I went to college and we talked a lot about theory and a lot about conceptual things. And that's not something that is necessarily taught as heavily in boot camp. It's more about getting your hands dirty and getting in the mix, trying. One of the things that I emphasize at work that's the best learning is experience, right? And so I think in that aspect, the opportunity to join a boot camp, you get to get experience. There's a couple of people that talked a little bit about portfolio sites. So you also get the opportunity to build applications, right? And a lot of the times developers, when they're first entering the job hunting market or just being aspiring developers, they need direction. They don't know what they want. They want to do something, right? And you got to always define your application. What's the problem? What am I trying to solve for, right? And so that's really tough being a new developer. So getting into the boot camp, you get the opportunity to do that. You get the structure from the instructors. The feedback is super important. All the instructors here have engineering roles or some sort of engineering experience, right? And so we take all that real world kind of job data and align it with the courses. And so we kind of get this hybrid learning experience where it's like you get to get your hands dirty, but it's in a safe environment and you get real-time feedback and you get an opportunity to build personal branding at the same time. And so I would totally encourage you to join.
This is great. Thank you. So join now. Our next classes start in September. Feel free to do that during the early bird time. I want to share also something else. We've talked about building your resume. And this is something that I think folks who are trying to get into the industry should not hesitate to buy. We don't have any commission on that. Same thing, I use that with my friend. But this type of service, and it's not just this one, Enhance, but build a resume. I mean, buy a resume builder. It's going to cost you, I think this one, pricing, it's going to be, you can $50 for 3 months. In 3 months, you'll have finalized your resume. But it's going to really make sure that your resume is going to pass the sniff test. It's going to pass the ATS, all the Autobots that are checking your resume. It's also going to make it way more attractive visually, and it's probably going to, if you look at what Luther showed us earlier, I will say that it probably will help Luther bring it down to one pager type of resume. And so don't hesitate to really invest in that. Money well spent, I will say. All right. We're going to bring you over. Bill, if you're ready for us, I saw your private chat. You can ask those questions if you want live. So let's do that. Let me stop the screen sharing and bring you over. Hold on a sec.
Hey.
Hey, Bill.
Hi.
All right. Welcome on the show. Do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name's Bill Stevens, William, but I go by Bill. I was a software engineer way back before the whole .com crash.
Oh, wow. Like
Very
me.
long ago. Yeah. So basically, I've been spending I'd say almost 2 years or so, maybe a little bit less, but trying to update my skills with all the current frameworks and tools and utilities and everything, and also my degrees and certifications and stuff. And I've been having a lot of fun getting back into it. I kind of took a very long break to kind of, make money, basically in other ways. So I was buying, fixing up, and selling houses. But my question mainly revolves around portfolios. And you mentioned that the programmers who may be in the interview process don't look at your resume, which I understand. But what about the portfolio or the portfolio page of, or their website or whatever? Like I've been developing a website, and what kind of projects would they be? Like I'm looking at kind of big implementations, and maybe I'm biting off more than I can chew sometimes, because like one of them I want to do is a online poker website that may be able to be extended with other games or other types of games and stuff. And because I'm also getting my bachelor's degree at WGU while I'm taking the back-end boot camp. And I picked this boot camp because basically there is no other boot camps or anything that I've ever found that actually teaches the back-end very well. The whole Docker and, just the things that you really need in deployment or, test-driven development, things like that. So you can automate all these processes, and it's like, I've been looking for some kind of instruction on that for a very long time, because it seems like you get out of whatever degree program with just fundamental knowledge, it's like you don't ever get that interactivity with somebody with skills that you can, expand upon.
So portfolio, Victor, what are your thoughts on, you know, are you going to be able to sway hiring managers that are also developers with your portfolio or not?
I do. I always look at our portfolio sites from applicants, and the reason why is because those are your technical skills. The first thing that I look at a portfolio site is how accessible it is. If you're going to be a developer of any sort, then WCAG 502 compliance is a priority for us, right? And so the first thing I'm doing is inspecting your code. I'm looking at kind of your structure. I'm looking at the technical skills, right? In terms of projects, it's tough because as a dev, the world is so vast. There's so many avenues. Are you going into gaming? Are you going into front end? Are you going into database? And so not having the job already, it's hard for you to know which projects to showcase. What you need to showcase is passion. Passion is important because passion is going to be the drive to make you be the best that you can be, right? And what I mean by that is like when I go and I interview somebody and they want to, and I always ask them, is there a project that you'd like to talk about that you've worked on yourself? Usually that opens that avenue and you get to talk a little bit about what you did with it, how you made it, what the problems that you dealt with. So thinking about that and thinking about projects that you want to build, identify areas that you're passionate about. Is there even if there's like a website that you wish had a feature, can you remake that, right? One that comes to brain real quickly is Yelp. Yelp, the little application, you need to like sign in with an email address in order to like review reviews. So annoying. I will make an application instead that pulls from the API and that doesn't require you to sign in with an email. So like identifying a problem with the user experience and then trying to provide a solution. If I was interviewing a person and they talked a little bit about that, I would want to know more, right? And it's you can clearly see that that person's passionate about user experience and providing that solution. So always looking at the portfolios, always looking at your code, always looking at your GitHub stuff, right? But also projects, it's tough for you to make. You really got to define whether or not like what area or avenue you really want to go into. And that's going to fall on the research phase, reaching out to those folks, that already have those careers, talking about that journey. Reach out to us instructors, right? What do we like about our job? What do we not like about our job? And that'll help you kind of define what you're looking for. We might even have to go back to basics and draw a Venn diagram.
Yeah, I have tons of interests, and that's probably almost a downfall. It's hard for me to narrow on any one thing. I've always been a person that takes on more than maybe you should. Like back before during the .com days, it's like I took projects that had been like stagnant for like 2 years, in design process, and I just quickly ramped up and created a dev environment and staging and everything. And I just started going to town creating prototypes so that they had something to kind of look at, because it's like we had nothing but like stuff that was on paper, and found that we needed a lot of work. So
I'd like to add something to what Victor just said, and being a little bit cynical as well, because coding bootcamp graduates, I've all been told you have to have, a portfolio project. And I will say there's portfolio project and there's portfolio project. In a sense, it's so easy right now to buy a $20 Tailwind template that comes already prepackaged, and you're going to do npm install. You're going to put your name here, change the picture there, and voila, right? You have your portfolio project. I personally go very quickly. So first I check that it looks good. If it looks terrible, okay, you're out, right? But then if it looks okay, next step is I'm going to check out the GitHub repository and really look for how custom the code really is. Like, is it your own code? Is it complicated code, or is it vanilla code that was just, do you still have the commentary or the, place your custom information here, and that's what you were supposed to do and you didn't do because it's a template that you just bought. So in your case, I'll say you have an advantage because you seem to have really built something that is yours, that is custom. You're building the games And when I go to your GitHub, I'm really expecting to see a lot of things that I'm going to like, maybe a few things that I'm not going to, or I'm going to have questions on. But that's going to be the good thing, because we're going to have a conversation on that, right? And so really that's going to be important to go the extra mile. You cannot just buy a Tailwind template, snap it onto an Heroku, and call it done, right? That's not going to work out. All right, Bill, thank you for joining. I'm going to let you go. We're going to continue on. We have more questions, but good luck with the bootcamp.
All right, thank you. I'm enjoying the heck out of it so far. It's been great.
Awesome.
And sign up for job hunting.
That's great. All right, and Bill, you're gonna hear us on YouTube. I'm gonna remove you from the stream. All right, let's do that. So we have a question here from Luke Loa. Is this a lifetime bootcamp? The answer is yes for graduates. So if you join, you're graduating, you'll have lifetime access to pretty much everything that you went through, including the Discord community. BFAM Cooking asks for 508. I think that's in relation to the accessibility standard, right?
Yeah, it's 502, but yeah.
502? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's the web content accessibility guidelines.
Gotcha. All right, perfect. All right, and Annie was telling us about the resume project is your portfolio. Brilliant. Okay. And then let's take that question now. Brilliant. I think you kind of hinted at that, right? But do you mind maybe going into it a little bit more, maybe expanding on this point? Beyond tech skills, what is lacking most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's something that I briefly touched on. It call them power skills, right? And so the idea of those is they complement your technical expertise. Obviously, one is problem solving and another one is creativity, right? So being innovative, there's a lot of discussion about AI in the market and taking over jobs and things like that. But one thing that we'll always have is our creative problem solving skills. A huge piece that I think that there's a huge gap is communication. Communication is really important because as a remote workforce, we need to have the ability to write effectively, clear and concisely. We need to be able to collaborate with teams effectively on different time zones, in different areas, in different cultures, right? And so I think in that aspect, it's super important. The ability to adapt, right? And so being a dev is all about adapting to client needs, to fires that get started and you have to put them out, right? And so your learning agility and quickly acquiring new skills is super, super important. So having the technical skills is super important, but also being a lifelong learner as well, right? There's another thing that I talk about in job hunting that I want to touch base on, and that's project management. Project management itself. I mean, at the end of the day, you're here to manage multiple projects effectively. And so you have to learn how to prioritize your time. Being a developer and working remote workforce, it's kind of different. You don't have a manager breathing down your neck all the time, right? So it's kind of your responsibility. How are you going to get everything done today in this specific time? How do you prioritize tasks? Do you use applications like Trello? Do you use notes? Do you use bullet lists, right? Another thing is being a leader or taking initiative. One thing that I emphasize with all my junior devs is that it does not matter how technically good you are. If you cannot teach the other person to elevate themselves to your level, then it's a dead end, right? We're here to look for a profit margin. And so in that aspect, having the ability to teach someone what you know is super important. Not only is it important for you to get fulfillment through life, but it's also super important to the other people, right? And so that will kind of live on through, which is why I started teaching at Nucamp in the first place. Another thing is emotional awareness, right? So your emotional intelligence, the ability to empathize with other individuals, the ability to be aware of your own performance, right? And interact with clients or manage those client relationships. There's a lot of power skills that, we don't really talk about or that don't get emphasized enough. And so if you do decide to join job hunting, I can totally give you a huge list. There's a book that I read that's really good. It's called Fierce Conversations. It's by an author. Yeah, it's by an author named Susan Scott. And it really focuses not only on how to have difficult conversations with their manager or with employees, but it also really focuses on how you, in your perspective, interpret those conversations. So it's super important. I use this as a workshop with all my employees. Yeah, it's only $18, but I really liked that book a lot.
Yeah. So, Victor, do you mind sharing with us? And you've taught. Let me actually check it out. You've taught how many courses? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 job hunting courses so far with us. 4 weeks each. So almost a full year. Not 9 months, let's say. So, can you give us an example of a student that really struggled, and without naming names, obviously, but and was kind of stuck, or you felt like things were not going to work for that person? What are typically the signs that you're seeing that kind of leads you to think that someone may actually not be successful in finding a job in tech? Do you have do you have like those kind of clear early indicators that someone may not make it?
I don't know if it's about not making it as much as it's about like they don't see the value in themselves as I see the value. And I think in that aspect it's all about getting
already. They're beaten down already.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
They're beaten down. They're like beating
beaten down. Yeah, there's the validation aspect, right? And so it's like people that are coming in, they're like, oh, I'm working retail and I don't have any of those transferable skills. I mean, we just have to sift through their resume and try to compare and contrast those two separate things. And for the most part, we can find or identify areas, right? Like service or problem solving or attention to detail or, adaptability, things like that. But most of the time, it's going to be that validation.
Yeah. And so vice versa, right? Do you see clear leading indicators of someone who's doing everything right and is actually going to be successful? And do you have actually examples of that, like actual, without naming the individual, but what they did to get the position?
Yeah, absolutely. In the last class, I had a gentleman, and he actually was a developer for many years. And so he had just kind of got out of the market. It was some kind of personal thing and was jumping in, similar to some other folks' stories, right? And so
just like Bill that you just heard from.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't really sure what to do, what he was doing wrong, things like that. The job market has changed, it's all about relationships. So in that aspect, I got on a one-on-one with him. We first talked about the hiccups that we're going through, where we can identify areas in the resume, how to leverage social media, because social media for that individual, obviously, it was a little bit different during that lifetime. So really leveraging that personal brand. And that person was super receptive. I feel like that was super helpful for them. And I kind of struggled at first because I was like, well, you've been here before. You have the skills, right? So we're not actually teaching you new skills. We're letting you find yourself again, kind of. Yeah. And in that aspect, it was just a different approach. But we would go through the social media. We would leverage, and then I would also have him reach out to other students that did get jobs and that did get to share their experience with them. So I've got a couple of other students that will kind of give me a little story. And so then that way it just serves as that little motivational script of, I've done it, you can do it too.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let me check if we've missed a few questions here. And again, we have 5 minutes left. If you haven't had your question answered, or if you have a question and did not ask it, now is the time. Type it in on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and Victor and I will make sure that we address it. So you many will look at your background, your experience, and say, well, you did your boot camp in 2021, the golden years pretty much of coding boot
Hmm.
camps, of getting a job in tech, almost like if it was a given and so easy back then. um, how different is it now? And let me ask you, the question, like, are those days gone where you can actually get a job in tech while not having 4 years of master degrees in computer science? Do you think it's over, or do
No.
you see people still being successful doing that?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not over. I just hired a junior dev from a boot camp.
There
So,
you
I
go.
mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not over. It's definitely more competitive. I
Yeah,
mean, in terms of applicants, there is, over 250 plus applicants. The reason why I hired that individual is because of their interpersonal communication skills. I
yeah,
actually found bugs on their React site, and I was okay with that because when I asked him about it, he told me a little bit about how he would approach that, right? And
yeah.
so the thing is like, I noticed that he was a solution provider. So I don't
Mhm.
think that by any means that is over. I do, however, think that the market's gotten extremely competitive, and that we, as hungry applicants, need to try to find creative ways to leverage yourself more than just the boot camp skills, right? And that's why I lean so much on the power skills.
So I want to, and thank you for saying that. I also want to bring a little bit of positive enthusiasm and optimism to the situation. The situation today is dire in terms of the number of startups that are closing, the number of coding bootcamps that are closing, the number of top companies that are firing engineers, non-engineers. The job report just got slashed by 800,000, actually, I think, in the last few days. But here's the thing: the Fed is going to cut the rates in September, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to re-inject uh, money, easier credit into the marketplace. When that happens, typically companies have an easier time borrowing that helps them growing. And usually, when that happens, if cutting, I mean, if increasing rates means typically more unemployment, reducing rates typically means lower unemployment, and with more jobs being created. And so there's a lot of people that are saying that uh, uh, we're actually going into the 2025 with an opportunity to see more jobs, tech jobs being created versus tech jobs being lost. The other bit where that you can look at from a more optimistic perspective is there was a lot of hype with AI.
Mm-hmm.
Hype in terms of, AGI is around the corner. Uh, Hype around AI is going to take every developer's job. And we're actually really seeing that hype going down big time. And now we're saying AGI may not be here in the next 10 years or ever.
Mm-hmm.
The current LLM technology is actually weak and unable to get leaders to AGI. And we're also seeing that LLMs cannot replace developers. What LLMs can do and OpenAI and Anthropic do is make you a better developer, but
Mm-hmm.
way more positive in terms of there's still going to be tons of jobs uh, for developers who understands AI and who can leverage AI. And I think those two things are going to lead in 2025 with way more jobs created for developers than in 2024 and 2023. And so I think we're on the precipice in a way of seeing the industry and the market shift again towards less competition, more tech jobs available, and things like that. So that's my take on it. Not that I have a crystal ball, but that's my hope for everyone out there. All right, Bill Stevens, hiring. Yes, we're
Yeah,
gonna see that. hopefully in the headlines very soon.
Yeah, one thing I emphasize with folks in my local community, because obviously this only applies in Watt, is county and government sector,
Yeah.
right? Most of those guys are starting to retire. And,
Yeah.
the shift of inclusive environments, they need young blood in there. They need
Mhm.
people that want to do new things. So leveraging that, just looking at King County, which is a county over in Washington, in jobs in Metro, the Metro division, which is the community transit. There's like a light rail that there's like thousands of jobs posted right now for web dev, for data analysts. So leverage government too.
That's right. That's right. I've read somewhere that actually the government is taking a bigger role in providing jobs, which many will say it's a good or bad thing, but there's definitely opportunity there. All right. Hey, Victor, as always, it goes so fast. So many people joined, asked questions. I think hopefully we've done what we were set up to do, which was helping those folks out. Any word of wisdom, any closing that you would like to make for this stream?
Take the chance. Like I say, risk more, gain more. Take the shot, right? Even if you're not sure, take the shot.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for those last words, Victor. Hope you'll enjoy this not so sunny weekend ahead of us. I think it's probably like 60. Oh no, 57 right now outside here in Washington. Are you kidding me? Yeah, 57 light rain. All right. See you, everybody. It was great to be here again. We'll have another campfire for you very soon, and hope to see you in our Discord. Bye bye.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye.